What's up, Saber fans? This is Gray Paladin, and we are going to review the Ultrasabers Empress. I used this saber in my CFX installation series. I'll leave a link of the playlist in the descriptions down below. So, let's get started with the dimensions. From the top of the spike here to the bottom of the pommel, it has a length of exactly 12 inches. It has a grip width here at the body of 1.4 inches, and the widest point at the pommel, shroud, and the emitter shroud is going to be 1.9 inches. It has a blade depth of very deep 2.8 inches. And then it has a resonance chamber in the pommel of approximately 1 inch. And then it has a weight of 1 pound and 2 ounces. Has a really good feel to it. Let's go ahead and get our close-ups here, starting from the bottom. At the pommel, notice how it is closed off and sealed there, and then the venting is on the side. And you've got holes going all the way around there. And with that venting, the volume comes through with no problem whatsoever. It's nice and loud. And this is with the current setting at 80%, which you'll hear a little bit later. The pommel does have two pieces. There's this portion here, and then there's this shroud right here. Again, with all Ultrasabers hilts, it is MHS compatible. Getting into the body, I utilized a wrap here. It's kind of like an athletic bandage. And then the center darker brown portion, I T-dyed. And more on that, on how I did that in the installation series, which is, again, in the description down below. There is a dual tactile switch here. There is a, the housing came from Darkwolf Sabers. Unfortunately, the tactile switches failed, and I had to replace that with my own switches, and I glued that in, and that worked out quite well. And if you'd like more information on that, please check out the installation series. And those switches, this is the activation here and the auxiliary on the right. They are horizontal and hidden nice behind the bandage, so you can't see that, but you can click them just fine, as you can hear. Moving up into the emitter, it's got a nice thick wide band here, and then there's a cog, and this portion here does unscrew right there. It's a separate piece from this emitter shroud, and that is a separate piece from the top here. And again, with most Ultrasabers, they do not include a blade retention screw. So I did have to tap one because this does have neopixel on the inside. And with that neopixel, you cannot have the PCB connector sliding and moving around because it won't keep tight or constant contact against the blade, and then you'll have issues with the blade performance. So I did include a retention screw right here underneath this, screw cog, and I'll just show you a picture of that right now. So as you can see, I had the screw right there, and then here is your blade retention screw. Unfortunately, once the blade goes in, the bottom of it only goes to about here, so the blade retention screw is very, very low to the base of the blade. But if you tighten it real good, no issues. And then here you've got your spikes going around the emitter. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 all the way around. So this is an octagon here. I did weather this with some sandpaper. I would like to have weathered it more, but based off of the movie, Rey's lightsaber wasn't very heavily weathered, so I tried to make it as accurate to that as I could. The wrap here, I wanted this to be a little darker brown, but when I T-dyed it, this is about as dark as I could get it at that moment. So maybe later I'll try to dye it again, but I think it's fine as it is. It's very comfortable to hold. It's really good fit, nice grip. There's no glue on this. This is actually it self-adhedes to itself, which is really nice. And then I cut out the opening for the CoverTech wheel there. So very interesting hilt and piece here based off of Rise Skywalker from the Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to show you the individual pieces here. Here's our pommel, and then the emitter. And as you can see, these are separate pieces that are not connected. So if you wanted, you could use this emitter on another MHS compatible hilt, or just have that on by itself, but it wouldn't look as good. And then you've got the shroud, which is a separate piece there. And then the pommel is also two pieces. So this pommel section does come apart from the shroud. And again, if you wanted, it is MHS compatible, so you could use this pommel on another hilt. You could include the shroud, but it may not fit or look as good just because it's not designed for that particular saber. But there's a lot of creative people out there. I'm sure you could come up with something great with that if you wanted to. Now let's take a look at the chassis. And all the parts, I'll listed all the parts that I used in this particular saber in the description down below, links to all of that. And also, again, you can check out the playlist of the installation and see how I used and installed all of these parts. But here's a Goth 3D all-in-one chassis. This is installed with a Crystal Focus 10 soundboard. And then I used a 28mm WOW speaker. There is a 2.1mm recharge port there, and here's the nice little kill key there. I tried to make this as clean as possible, so as you notice, there are no wires that are exposed there. And this is a nice press fit, so the CFX board is not moving or going anywhere. You've got your removable SD card right there as well, and then access to your Rise port as well. All of the wires are braided in there real nicely, so they will coil up without damaging or cutting or hitting anything on the inside. Okay. And then I used a KR Sabers neopixel PCB connector right there. And as you saw in the picture earlier, I did include a retention screw for that right there behind this cog there. While it's apart, I'll just go ahead and pull it out and show you. There it is. I really wish Ultrasabers did include retention screws, because a lot of times, you know, if you're just, you know, spinning the saber around, you can hear the LED kind of moving around in there, and I don't think that's healthy for a saber to have that going on. So the saber, I'm not keeping the saber. I took on this project with the plan of selling it. So I only have the default fonts on here, the default package that comes with the Plector Labs Crystal Focus soundboard, and that's 14 fonts. But I also included 2 Ray inspired fonts, and that is Scavenger's Destiny by Kyberphonic, as well as Halflex by K-Sith. I want to point out that this is a one-handed lightsaber, which is interesting because Rey had a staff originally, and you can see that in the design of this hilt. But even though it's not screen accurate, it is a nice representation of Rey's lightsaber. The activation switch is on the left, and your auxiliary is on the right. And of course it has smooth swing. All your usual bells and whistles there. Let's go ahead and put the blade in so you can see that. I'm not going to be able to swing this too well. That's why I kind of demonstrated that without the blade in the beginning. Just wanted you to hear the smooth swing very well. All right, here we go. then there's Half-Lights.
Sound bank selection.
Rise of Skywalker.
Young Rey.
I'm from the Resistance. Your sister Leia sent me. We need your help.
So I thought this saber turned out very well. I'm very pleased with it. But if you're interested, please just check out my Facebook page. You can get more information there, as well as contact me if you're interested in purchasing this lightsaber. And actually what I'll do is once it's sold, I will place sold in the description. That way there's no confusion and you're not wasting your time. But anyway, please check out the playlist on the CFX installation series of this lightsaber. It was interesting doing it, and it went with a few hurdles and hiccups, and I addressed those. So if you're interested in learning how to install a lightsaber or just seeing how this was done in particular, then I encourage you to check that out. But anyway, I want to thank you very much for watching.
Rise of Skywalker.
You were right before.
And if you like this saber, please let me know in the comments down below. May the Force be with you always.